But we did it. We managed to build a place for me to live. And I still use the bathroom that we put in at that time. I live in half of the building. The other half now is our offices. But it's been a happy place to live. And as I sit in the chair like this, the nicest thing is that I can look across the room and see the pictures of my grandchildren and children. We had pictures taken when I was 75. And I love to sit here and look at them. It makes me feel so good. You must fill those in after. But it was real. And I have other pictures on the wall. We have a picture that, a painting of our cottage at the lake, at Pine Lake, which I also like to look at. So I have a happy surroundings. And then, as I've said, I've got all the staff here. So I'm never alone. But I think in the early days, my happiest moment was if I had the door of my patio open and I could hear the press running. I don't hear it so much now. There's perhaps too much other activity around here. But I could hear that press, and it was music to my ears, pounding through those papers, because that was our livelihood. And I was so happy that we had a press. We had people putting the newspapers together. It was a big moment to me. It reminded me of my father when he used to run the thrashing machine, because it sounds a little like a thrashing machine. It's a big piece of equipment like a thrashing machine. And Dad would stand there looking at the grain coming out, and he'd pick up a handful of wheat and he'd chew some of it just to make sure it was coming out right, and the taste was firm, you know, it was a good strong grain. Well, I used to sit here and listen to the press pounding through those papers, and I'd think, well, we've done it. We started out with nothing, and here we are. We're putting out papers. Now we're putting out papers that go all, you know, to 17,000 people in this very area, I think it is. And then 100 and some thousand that we do with the wheel and deal. And we did it all out of this old building. When my sister first looked at it, the first thing Marge said was, bulldoze it down, that old building. But I said, if it stood that long, it'll probably stand long enough for us to use it. And it has literally, in the 25 years I've been here, put through millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of paper, of newspapers. So, and I said, the other thing I said was, there's so much dirt in the walls, I think the dirt will hold it up. It's so old and dirty, the dirt will hold it up. And it's still standing, and it's still producing. So what more could you ask? And if I had any sadness about that period in my life, it was that I did give up writing, except for my editorials. And I got a lot of satisfaction, and a lot of people to this day know me by my editorials. They would come to me on the street. They wouldn't say, hello, Mrs. Taylor. They'd say, I enjoyed your editorial last week, or I didn't agree with your editorial. I just became a part of this area of Alberta for that reason. But I did have to give up my other writing, and part of it I did deliberately, because when we came out to an area of farming people, and I had learned by experience in the magazine that men who were in selling cars or motorhomes and so on, if they knew that you are a writer, an author, they'd clam up right away, because they would be afraid they weren't using the right words, or that you would think that they were not very well educated. So when we moved to Irricana, I said to my children, don't tell anybody I've ever written any books, although I had you know, pretty successful career as a writer, but I don't let on that I've ever written any books, because it will just make people feel uneasy with me, and I want to belong in this community. I want to be a part of it the same as they are. And this has paid off. It did pay off because it. I think I was here for about 5 or 10 years before anyone knew that I had written any books. And then the CBC wanted to do an interview. But by that time, it didn't matter. They did an interview, and people knew then that I'd written books. But they had come to know me as a person, and the kids as people, as tailors, not as writers or anything like that. And it made it much easier for us to live here. Now, of course, they don't care whether I write a book or not, but in those days it was, I think it was a part of our fitting into this community.